Chapter 14. Alarice thought that after all these years she will no longer be hurt by whatever he did. She must have been drawn to his attention he's giving her these past year. She paused for a while, gathering herself. It's okay. It's fine, you knew the moment you marry him. Something like this will bound to happen. It's not even the first time, so it's fine, it's fine. It's fine, it's gonna be fine. You just have to hold on for another year, and everything's going to be okay, she told herself. She slightly clenched her fist and silently sighed, trying to expel the tightness in her chest. That's a good news, Your Majesty. You need to go now to cater the needs of the Empress consort. I also need to rest for a bit. Then meet my friends in the afternoon, she said without looking at him. She afraid he's gonna read her heart if she looks straight to his eye. When she was about to stand, Nicholas held her hand to stop her. She closed her eyes very tight, trying to suppress her tears. Then she looked at him. Different emotions can be seen in his blue eyes, but she can't name it. She didn't dare to. What's wrong, Your Majesty? She asked, praying that her voice won't crack. He opened his mouth to say something but closed it again. He then sighed. You can stay here and rest now. I need to rest properly at my own room as to not worry the Empress consort. It's a sensitive time for her, she said, and motioned the maid to help her get dressed. Nicholas went to the Rose Palace where the Empress consort resides. Alarice threw herself on her bed. I'm tired, she murmured, and can't help the tears that fell in her cheeks. So I still have tears. I thought they already dried out. Alarice fell in love with him when she first saw him at a banquet when she was 12. The same day that she remembers that this was the novel that she reads in her previous life. Even though she knew she shouldn't, her heart can't help but be stolen by him. That night was enchanting for her. It was her father's birthday, and she attended the banquet despite her hate to these social events. She was busy observing in the side when she first saw him. A dazzling 18-years-old young man. Despite his young age, he stood proud, confident, and powerful, a true king. His elegant yet strong countenance caught her attention. It was a little crush. He was gorgeous. His ocean blue eyes and dazzling hair were perfect. All through the banquet her eyes were on him. Even if she doesn't want to, she can't help it. She was like magnetized by those eyes. There were a lot of time that she was caught looking at him, and she will just blushed from embarrassment. I wonder if he already married Qashanna, the female lead. She was surprised when he asked for a dance. He was a gentleman, just a little bit. Then I will no longer desire you after the banquet. She found out that he was already married and his wife was about to give birth. So the story started out already. Alarice, as the villainess, has one role in the story: to torment Qashanna. She appeared in the middle of the novel where the empire of Leon needed the spirit power of the lossless country. Alarice in the novel also fell in love with him at first sight and was jealous of Qashanna, whom he gave his most attention. That was why she do a lot of bad things to Qashanna and almost kill her by refusing to heal her when she got afflicted with the plague. That time Qashanna was pregnant and had a miscarriage. Alarice died at the end together with her unborn child. She was sentenced to death by harming a member of the imperial family. That was her sad end, and now, just like Alarice in the story, she too fell in love with him. She don't know why. He's not even her type, but she still fell in love. Alright, I'm just not gonna get involved with them. I just need not to marry him, then problem solved, she thought. But after 5 years, she was forced to marry him. She has no choice. It was her duty as an imperial princess. Additionally, she took pity on those minority of the empire that lives in extreme poverty. Or maybe, deep inside her, those were just her excuse to be with him. It's okay, I'll just not go between them. That's why she made that contract. She doesn't want to die nor have her unborn child die with her. During the course of the story, Qashanna was always wary of her, but she just ignored her and focused herself on improving the country. This was also her way to erase any feelings she has for him. But it didn't go as planned. The emperor often speak of her night service that she sometimes was afraid she'd get pregnant. She has no choice but to drink infertility pill in order to prevent that. There were times when she pushed Qashanna and Nicholas to have a date while she took on the works of the emperor. This is fine, this is how it's supposed to be. I just need to hold on for 5 years, then I'm done. That's what she's always saying. Besides, she pitied Qashanna. She's already been through so much that she doesn't have the heart to hurt her even more. She grew up in a loving family and she doesn't. She deserves to be happy. Her only concern is the way she treated Male, and she tried to help the poor child. The Emperor took care of it, but he too cannot defy Qashanna as he also pity her. Their relationship has always been good. They were still in love after so many years. So them having a second child was not surprising. There was no place for her in between them. From the beginning she already gave up. She dares not to hope of love from their marriage. And it's for the best. At least that's what she thought. She admit that sometimes she hoped to have a child with him, but she painfully held back. For the sake of their love, for the sake of peace. But just how much must she sacrifice for them? She even drank too many infertility pills that having children might now be impossible for her. Why would he feel the need to be nice to her when they now only have 2 years left before the divorce? He gave her hope that maybe he likes her too. But reality is cruel. It dragged her back from her cloud-9 thinking. The Empress consort was pregnant. The news brought her back to reality that the Emperor was not hers. His heart and soul belongs to someone else. And it was never her that night. Her pillows was wet with her tears. Chapter 15. The Rose Palace was buzzing with energy. The maids were excited that their mistress was pregnant. Qashanna was laying in her bed. The gods didn't abandon me. I'm glad you came to me. My child. It hasn't been a day when she thought she needed another child, but it happened very quickly. The Emperor visited her. He was as gentle as ever to her. What did the doctors say? He asked. They just said I need to rest. I've been having a hard time eating, but everything's fine, she said while caressing her still flat stomach. Where's Male? He must still be in his room. He nods. He's still gentle and caring, but she can barely sense happiness in his eyes. She held his hand. Are you not happy that we're having a second child? The Emperor looked at her and smiled. I am just tired. Get some rest. I'll visit you again, he said, and then leave. Qashanna clenched her fist. She tried to hold back her tears. He's not happy with this new life. But she needed to hold on to this child. This child will save her. It's okay, it's okay. If you were born, I'm sure your father will love you. He loves his children very much. He's just confused for now. She tells her child in her womb. The Lily Palace where the second concubine Alicia resides was full of tension. Their mistress locked herself in her room the moment she heard of the news. They all know how much the concubine loves His Majesty that she urged her father to let her marry him. Inside the room the concubine keeps on weeping. Just why does she get pregnant first? She said, throwing things in her room. I also did my best. I also spent nights with him, but why does she get to have another child? She already has his heart, that greedy wench. She shouted. Naveen was outside. He was in tears while hearing the loud crashing noises inside his mother's room. He didn't know what to do. He runs outside to go to his Empress Mother's palace. I know Empress Mother will know what to do, he said while running. As he was running he tripped and fell down. He always hoped her mother to be happy. He did his best to make her happy, but it turns out he alone was not enough. His mother's gaze was always following the Emperor. He knows his mother loves him, but not as much as he loves the Emperor. Why are you crying? Naveen said a voice. He looks at the person lending his hand. Brother Male, he said, then cried hard. You're really a crybaby, a female voice said. You. Hyesil Yang, he said, you have a snot in you, she said, and lend her handkerchief. Brother. What shall we do? Are we going to be discarded? He asked for them. It seems like everybody was only focusing on the pregnant Empress consort. His mother forgot about him and just holed up in his room. The Empress consort was just in her room, not even bothering checking on his other son. Their father, being conflicted, was now on his office and drowning himself at work. That's not going to happen, Naveen. I'm sure Empress Mother will not let it be. Male said, yes, you don't have to worry. Mommy Ninang will still be with you. But the maids also said that she's also in her room. She's just tired. She doesn't really like banquets, but she was forced to attend, Hyesil said. Come on. We shouldn't worry about the adults' problem and just play. They will take care of it all. Everything's gonna be fine, Hyesil added. Male looked at those two who were playing. How he wished that what the little girl sang is true. He knows that he was at risk. His position was at risk. He always disobeyed his mother, that causes her to be displeased with him. The only reason for her to keep on paying attention to him is because he was a strong candidate. He was the first son of the emperor and also a male heir. And now that her mother is pregnant, things changes. "You won't discard me, right, mother?" he murmured. After a day and a night's rest and a good bath, Alarice came back to her senses. She needs to bounce back. Now that the Empress consort is pregnant, the balance of power within the nobles is shaken. The old nobles supported the Empress consort and the first prince as an heir. They are the ones who supported Duke Elmia in the past. The moment they withdraw the support on him, they supported the Empress consort. After all, their old-fashioned moral views aligned. For them, nobility's power is absolute thus. Blood ties was very important. They definitely don't want a foreigner princess to seat at the Empress Regnant's throne, let alone her child to be the next heir. They have the advantage because the Empress consort does have a child and she did not, but she has the support of the new nobles and lower-ranking ones. New nobles are mostly commoners that achieved their titles through money and great achievements. That is why old nobles despise them for them. They are commoners having the audacity to yearn for nobles' lifestyle that they don't deserve. Although few, old nobles has strong political prowess. On the other hand, new nobles doesn't have extravagant political prowess, but they are many in numbers. Alarice worked very hard in the past 4 years to earn their trust and support. Their support is what made her position solid despite not having a child. However, things are different now. Now that the Empress consort has another child. If it turns out to be a prince, then the old nobles will have more power and confidence to push either of her sons to the throne. Her power will be shaken, and so was the authority of new nobles. That's why she needs to take action. This is also a dilemma for Nicholas. The power balance within the nobility will have a great change. He needs to find a way to balance it out by strengthening the power of the Empress Regnant. There is only one way: we need to have a child. Chapter 16. Days passed and Alarice still hasn't gone to work. She used to reason out that she wanted to be with family and friends for a while as she has not seen them for years. She was currently having a tea time with her friends in the garden of the Moon Palace. The Moon Palace was just beside the Sun Palace where the Emperor was staying and where the office is in. She can't help but keep glancing at the Sun Palace. In those days that she didn't come in the office, Nicholas not once tried to visit her nor asked for her. She smiled bitterly. "What do you expect, Alarice? Just get over him," Rice Ally called her friend. She came back to her senses and looked at them. "We're calling you over and over again, but you never answered," said the girl with the very dark violet hair with light brown eyes. Amara Dari Devata, the current duchess of her country. She was won her friends back in her home country, along with Odessa Rydal Fabroa, who married the Grand Master of the Magician Tower in a neighboring country. They didn't attend the ball as they were very exhausted from the long travel. "Why?" she asked. "Ally, are you really okay?" Odessa asked. "I'm really fine," she said, then forced a smile. "We heard of the news and know that you are in a tight position." Olivia said worriedly, "I'm really good now. I'm trying to find a way to balance the power of the nobles, but it's really a pain, you know. You know my family and Adeline's are always here to back you up." Olivia said, "Yes, us too will lend you our support." Amara said she was lucky to have these friends, and she was glad that they are all getting along well. Adeline and Olivia's family are the only old nobles who remain formally neutral, but their daughters is her friend, so she knows she can have a bit of support from them. "Speaking of, where's Adeline?" Alarice asked. "That's the thing. She just disappeared last night after fighting with her brother," Olivia said, and you don't have to worry about her. She can handle herself," Amara assured, and the three looked at each other meaningfully. "Okay, you guys are acting weird. Never mind about her. What we're saying is, isn't there another way to have the power balance back immediately? Prolonging it will not be good," Odessa said. She sighed. She can only think of one solution. "There is," she said in a soft voice. "Then that's great. You just have to do it," said Amara. "I can't." "Well, more like I won't be able to." "Why?" She looked at Odessa. "Do you remember the herb that can be used as a contraception, but if used for a long time then it'll lead to infertility?" She looked at me and her eyes widened. "No, you didn't." "I did since the start of our marriage." Odessa suddenly got up from her chair. "Alarice, that's very dangerous. That herb didn't even have enough study and can melt your womb away." "I have no choice. I know it's reckless, but that's the most potent medicine for contraception. I can't have an accidental baby if I was going to have a divorce after 6 years. It will be the child that'll have a hard time. She defended, but still. How can you do that to your body? Do you feel any pain in your stomach? I don't feel any pain, but my period was so irregular that it barely come. I only get it twice a year at most. Oh my god. Odessa said. Amara and Olivia was both worried and shocked. Did His Majesty knows about this? Olivia asked. He didn't. I don't see any need to tell him. I never wanted to have a child with him in the first place. So I thought it's going to be okay. I've been fine these past years and nothing really bad happened, so if I just can't have a child, so be it. Why are you discarding yourself so much? What happened this past years that your self-worth is that low? Your parents need to know this. You're going home with us. Amara said, and was about to stand up, but she stopped her. I'm fine, Amara. I just have to endure for another 2 years, then I can go home. There are now little number of people that needed my help. I can't just abandon them, but what about you? You needed help too, and you never once tell us your burdens. Even the timid Olivia was shouting. What happened to our proud princess that can't even let anyone take advantage nor dictate her? Odessa started crying. This scene was such a mess. She must have really messed up really bad. But they're right. She got worse these past few years. Her only redemption is that after 2 years she'll be back home. She just wanted to stay a little longer with him. Just a little longer, then she'll leave. She wants to think that this is her payment for being greedy. Even though she knows of the tragedy that'll befall her once she fell in love with the male lead. She just can't help but love him. She just wants to drown in the sweet poison for just a little longer, then she'll be back home. Just let me be for a little longer. After that I'll leave, please, she said as her voice cracked. That's when she realized that her tears are flowing from her eyes. Her friends can only hug and console her. Please, ally, stop torturing yourself for someone not worth it. Odessa pleaded. This is the last time, Odessa. For the sake of Mail and Naveen. Those children are just like my child too. They'll be the ones affected that most in this battle, she said. They all sighed and just hugged her tightly. Then please just go to a doctor. Even if it's secretly, so we can check your condition. Amara said. Okay, she muttered. Alarice's aide Caleb was shocked from the things that he heard. He was ordered by the Emperor to call for the Empress, but he heard of this conversation instead. He can't believe that Her Majesty did that. If it's loyalty. He doesn't want to tell the Emperor as it is what his mistress wanted, but it concerns her health. I apologize, Your Majesty the Empress. But the Emperor needs to know of your condition. Hi, author here. I just wanted to say happy 500 reads. Why? Thank you so much, dear readers, for paying attention to this humble work. I don't know if it's okay to mention you guys, but I'ma still do it, haha. Thank you so much for voting in my story. Mafia writes Chucker 23 Hirazink Bluelism. Warwiz Cheskanoble Kazizriv. Raquelia Liveros 258. I don't know why, but every time I tried to mention you, my Wattpad app just closes suddenly. But yeah, thanks all so much. And to my silent readers, I also appreciate you all. Thank you. Chapter 17. Caleb was conflicted. He saw dark circles under His Majesty's eyes. He doesn't know if it's okay to tell this terrible news now that the problem with the unbalanced power of the nobles is becoming apparent. But he needs to know. Besides, if His Majesty was someone who can't handle everything that's happening, he is not someone who deserved the highest position. Your Majesty, Caleb started. Nicholas looked at him. Oh, you're there. Where is the Empress, Your Majesty? The thing is, Alarice was so full. After he cried a river, her friends just went up and asked her to go and eat in an eat-all-you-can buffet. All right, screw all those men, let's go and eat. That's the best way to relieve stress, Odessa said. And now, wearing disguise, they were all walking sluggishly from drowning to all the foods they ate. They actually ate in 3 restaurants and 1 dessert shop. I feel sick, Olivia said as she covers her mouth to stop herself from vomiting. I'll never do that again. I feel like I won't be able to eat for the next week. Amara said. That feels refreshing. We should do it more. It's been a while since I ate without inhibitions, Alarice said cheerfully. The 3 of them just looked at each other and smiled. They were glad that they got their friend to cheer up. Come, when it's night time already, we should go back, Odessa said. Alarice stopped smiling. I don't think I want to go back in there. She whispered. Amara sighed. They were all looking worried. You can always go back home, Odessa said. You know I can't do that. We don't mean home country, but isn't your family in here? You know you can always run into them. Alarice smiled. She walked towards the carriage. Let's go, I want to see Mom and Dad, she said. She ordered the carriage to go where her mother and father are staying. Just tell His Majesty that I'm going to stay with my parents. She told the servant. She bid goodbye to her friends. The knights in front of the humble palace where her parents are staying greets her and called her parents. Her mother saw her and hugged her immediately. It took you a while, sweetie, let's go inside, she said. Her mother brings her to a room and prepares hot chocolate for her. She didn't say anything and was just doing the things she used to do when she was a child. And that alone consoles her a lot. Maybe it's true that mothers have magic touches that soothes their children. Her mother tucked her to bed while humming a song. You know I'm too old for these things, she said. Sweetie, no matter how old you are, you will always be my baby, she said, smiling. You won't ask me, she softly said. I won't. You're tired of answering by now, right? For now. You should rest, that's what you need, she said. That night must be the most serene sleep that she'd ever have for the past years. She was sound asleep that she didn't hear the argument outside her room. Came morning, she felt so refreshed and light. Her mood was much better. Someone knocked on her door before entering. There she saw her mother holding a tray of breakfast. How's your sleep? She asked. It's great. I feel so much better. Her mother fixes her bed so she can eat breakfast. While eating, the door opened and saw his father. You doing great? He asked. Yeah, I'm fine, Dad. They chat about little things while eating. After she finished her breakfast, the atmosphere began to be serious. Her mother held her hand. Sweetie, you always know that we'll support you whatever your decision is. That's how much we love you. And we can't have you being in pain. Her mother started. Where is this going, Alarice? Do you want to go home? His father asked. She looked at her parents' worried faces. What's this all of a sudden? We know what happened. And we also know what our daughter might be feeling. If you can no longer handle it, we can take you home with us, her mother said. She shook her head. She really did made her parents worry. She sighed, then forced a smile. Mom, Dad, I know you're worried, but I'm really fine here. This is not his first child anyway. I've already survived in here for the past years. It's because you raised me this strong that I am fine all these years. And I am still fine now, you know. I've been working on a project of giving further education for children living in poverty and arranging on how they'll get into big universities by scholarships. And it'll take time to convince the nobles and other politicians for this project. I want to help those people. I want this country to be like ours, where status can be of little hindrance to your dreams. They deserve those things. But you don't deserve all these sacrifices. Her father almost shouted. I know. But this is our duty as royals, to be of service to those people. I'll go home in 2 years, I promise you, Mom, Dad. About your health, using red roots, the one you use for contraception. Her mother was trembling. She now regretted a little. All her life, her parents treat her well like a fine jewel, but she let others ruin her. She felt stupid. It's okay, I'll still live. No. Just please take this medicine. I open the portal to the spirits and asks for the dragon fruit. It can restore your health little by little, her mother said, and put in her hands some candy-like medicines. Please, just please. If we cannot convince you to come home, just please take care of your health. Please come back to us in one piece, her mother said, holding her hand tightly. She was a healer. That's the biggest reason this empire wanted her. But she cannot heal herself. She can only heal others, and when she gets sick, herbal medicines cannot heal her. Only medicines from the spirit world can heal her. There were times when she wonders if this implies that in this world her sole purpose was to give herself to others without having to receive. I promise to take care of myself, Mother. So please forgive this unfilial and stupid daughter of yours for making a bad decision, she said. Her mother just hugged her and his father just silently watched them. She stayed in her parents' villa. They catch up a lot and she get to rest for a long time. After several weeks, she bid her parents and friends goodbye as they went to go back to their country. After that, she stays for a day in the villa before returning to the palace. When she was finally in front of their office, she felt like she was about to enter a battlefield. She knocked on the door. "It's me, your majesty," she said softly. She jolted when she heard crashing sound and heavy footsteps inside. What was that? Then the door was frantically opened. A towering man with golden blonde hair and ocean blue eyes meets her eyes. He looks so stressed and tired, as if he haven't slept properly for months. There were dark circles under her eyes, and her blue eyes was a bit dull. And there was a dark bruise on his left cheek. He lost some weight, and he isn't even wearing a proper attire befitting of his position. Although, despite his appearance, Alarice still can't help but admire this man's beauty. "What's wrong, your ma?" She didn't finish her sentence as she was cut off when Nicholas suddenly hugged her. "I thought you're never coming back," he said as he tightened his grip that she find it hard to breathe. Chapter 18. They stayed like that for a while outside the office. Alarice was baffled. She didn't know what to do. She didn't even know what's happening or why he's acting like that. She has so many questions in her head, but she can't ask because His Majesty was holding her to the point of being almost unable to breathe. She saw Caleb and Pierre inside the office. They were both looking relieved for some reason. She motioned them to get out so she can talk after Nicholas became more stable. He should be happy by now. Why is he acting like this? He always loved his children, your majesty. Please, let's come inside, MHH, she said. He nods like a child, but still haven't let her go yet. They went inside in that state, and she just locks the door. They walk further until they can sit down, but he was still hugging her. "What's wrong, your majesty?" she asked. She heard a snoring instead. She tried to see his face buried in her neck and saw him sleeping. She just sighed and lay down on the sofa while still hugging him so he can rest well. She played with his hair and hummed a lullaby. They stayed like that for a few hours. Nicholas was having a good dream. He remembers when he first gave up on trying to hate the Empress regnant. It was rainy day that time. The two princes was playing in the Sun Palace waiting for their Empress mother to finish her work. Sometimes it baffles him how close she has gotten to the two princes. Naveen was friendly but was spoiled and very demanding. Mail, on the other hand, was polite and reserved, but he always has his invisible wall surrounding him. They were in the office, and as usual, no one was talking, they were just working. There was suddenly a knock on the door. Then the two princes came in. They were probably bored by now, Empress Mother. "Are you not done yet?" Naveen asked. "Not yet, sweetie. But we're hungry, you can ask the maids for snacks." "Brother Mail, and I wants to eat cupcakes made by you. Please, it's been a week since we've been together." Naveen pouted. He saw Alarice sighed, looking at the papers on her table. He looked at Naveen and also sighed. "Go and entertain the kids. Just ask Caleb to do some of your works," he said coldly. Alarice silently stood up and politely bowed her head to him without saying anything before turning to the kids and smiled sweetly. "Let's go. What flavor do you want?" she asked, then carried the young Naveen and held Mail's hand. He looked at that beautiful picture. Even the mature Mail became a child when in front of her. After about an hour, someone knocks at the door and Alarice came with a tray of cupcakes and tea. "I've come to deliver this to you as instructions of the two princes," she said politely without smiling. "She's now the servant of the great demon king. So you should eat that, my grand general demon," the young Naveen said while holding a toy sword. "It's tasty, father, we made that together," Mail said gently. "I might be overstepping my bounds, but please play with the two princes for a while, your majesty. They also need your attention. Just for a little while will be enough," Alarice said, looking at him, still not smiling. Not once did she encourage him to play with his sons, but he always rejected it, claiming that he's too busy. But now for some reason he felt cold and the tea looks warm. Besides, he can't help but admit that he wants to see her smile for a little longer. "All right, but just for a while." Her face lit up a little. "You hear that?" she asked Naveen. "We've finally got the Grand General Demon to our side. My right-hand man, prepare for battle," he said, and grabbed Mail's hand and ran towards the room they're playing. That was one of the firsts that he experienced with her. He first felt how it feels like to be a warm family just by playing a silly-ass game. After all, he never get to experience such things. His father died early, but he too never showed a fatherly side to him. Her mother was extremely busy and suffered depression from all the things that happened to them. That's why he promised himself to love his children with all his might, but he failed to let the children know that. When Male is born, a lot of things happened, and he was very busy from fighting with Duke Elmia, who tried to use his son to rise up once again. When Naveen is born, he was busy calming down the Empress consort to prevent her to do any harm to the young prince. When he got to resolve those issues, the two princes were no longer a baby and was now awkward in his presence. He never get the chance to be close to them. Their mothers were busy courting his favor, using his children, that he never get to experience the true bond with them. That's when he realized that maybe a normal, loving, warm family was just really impossible for royals. But came a foreign princess who he was to marry. He saw how her parents worried about her, how her mother cried when he was about to leave the kingdom, and how her father glared at him for stealing his daughter. How she can casually hug and kiss her parents and brothers. It was not impossible after all, but why can't he have that? That's also the reason why he hated her. She has the things that he always longed for. And that's also the reason why he took her as his wife. Maybe, just maybe, if she came to the palace, some miracle will happen, and it did. The empire prospered little by little. His workload was lessen a lot. Male get to laugh and play like a child. And the spoiled Naveen learned how to compromise. It's like she was a missing piece in this empire. The commoners loved her, and she has the support of the new nobles. The power balance between the nobles and even commoners were firm because of her. The 12-year-old girl that she dances with on a whim because she looks cute, constantly stealing a glance at him, turned out to be someone that he badly needed. It turns out she was someone he can never let go of. He opened his eyes when he smells the aroma of coffee. "Oh, you're awake, Your Majesty," a voice above his head said. He looked up to see Alarice. "You were sleeping soundly, so I can't wake you up. I ordered the maids to prepare some light foods and coffee in case you woke up," she said. So the reason why he was sleeping soundly was because of her. He feels light and refreshed. He feels like he was dreaming a wonderful sight, but can't remember what is it. But it's okay. After all, the most important thing is that she was here. "You know, Your Majesty, I've thought a lot about what will we do about the problem in the power balance of nobles, and I thought of a solution." She said. "What is it? Tell me," he excitedly said. She really is like his miracle. "Why don't you marry one of the daughter of the new nobles and take her as your concubine so you can have a child with her?" Her answer was the least he expected to hear. For a while there he feels something crumbling in the back of his mind. Chapter 19. There was silence. Nicholas let go of her and looked at her bright golden eyes, hoping she'll get back what she said. "Are you serious?" he said. "Yes." Alarice contemplated a lot on when she'll open this topic up. She thought about it a lot while walking in the hallway, and she arrived at a conclusion that the sooner the better. She looked straight in his eyes. His expression was something that she didn't expect. She expected him to take it as some kind of business, as they always do. For her, they were really just business partners, albeit sleeping with each other occasionally. That was the most of their relationship in her perspective. She took her eyes off him and get the cup of coffee on the table and drink it. She's trying to compose herself. After all, she's telling the man she always loved you marry another woman. Why? He almost whispered, pain, confusion, disappointment, and a sense of betrayal all laced in his deep voice. "I know that having another member of the royal family is without a doubt a blessing. However, you also know the consequences it'll have with the nobility's power balance. We have to give the new nobles on my side another form of power to hold on to," she explained, casually trying to stop trembling. "Then isn't us having a child a much better option?" He asked. "No, it's written in our contract that." "And that contract, that's always your excuse. I'll gladly tear it up if that's what's stopping you." "This is not just about the contract, Your Majesty." "Then what is it?" His veins were almost popping out from mixture of anger and confusion. "I just don't want us to have a child." "I don't want to have your child." "Is that reason enough?" she yelled without looking at him. There was another silence. "It's not you don't want to have a child. It's you don't want a child for me," he mumbled, looking at the ground. It's more like he's saying that to himself rather than her. She sighed. She looked at him. Luckily, he's looking at the ground that he can't see the pain written all over her face. "Is that why you took a dangerous herb as a contraceptive to prevent us from having a child? You're even willing to ruin your health just so not to mix your blood with mine," he said. Then he looked at her. Alarice looked away. She cannot meet his eyes. Those eyes were full of emotions, and this is her first time seeing it. Yes, it'll be a trouble to have your child. I'm afraid of having your child, she said. But you're willing to be a mother to a child that is not even from you? He asked. She looked at him confused. You gave that child your blood, that's why she get to inherit all the perks of being your first daughter when it should be our daughter. He yelled. Why are you bringing Hyseal to this conversation? She has nothing to do with this. Oh, she has. She stole the power that was supposed to be our child's. And I told you over and over again. I don't want your child. So I'd rather use that power to save someone. But you're willing to kill our child before she was born if you ever conceived one. Right? She paused for a while. Yes, huh? Do you hate me that much? Is that your way of revenge for all the things I've done to you? Your Majesty, our feelings have nothing to do with this. The reason why I don't want to have a child is because I don't want him or her to live fighting for her life for a throne. Our child would be the priority in inheriting the throne anyway. You can always have my support. He continued yelling while clenching his fists. And what will happen to Mael and Naveen? What do you think your other wives would do? You know exactly how the life of the royalties are in this empire, Your Majesty. I don't want my child to experience something like this. She hissed. He's hurt, but he hurts her even more. How dare he thinks only of himself? He has other wives as well as other children. Does he think she'll be happy if he would just favor them, allowing the other wives harbor jealousy over her and threatens her life and her child's? We can just figure it out how. I don't want to come to the point where you failed to protect us and regrets having your child. He stands up abruptly and was about to go out. This conversation is over. I'll never marry another woman. If you think having another child will be needed in order to balance the power in the nobility, then you'll have to bear one. He said. Don't be irresponsible, Your Majesty. I beseech you. I no longer want to have to marry just for power. I don't want to have another miserable woman in this palace just so they could threaten or kill each other. He yelled. This is the consequences of being in power. You should have known it will come to this. He was breathing heavily. The tightness in his chest is suffocating. He badly needs air, but the person who gave him one was taking it slowly from him with all the words she's spouting. He sighed. I need this power and no one can take this away from me. I'll think of another way to restore the balance between the nobles. It doesn't need to be abrupt. I'm still their emperor whatever my decision is. They'll have no choice but to follow me. Are you saying you're going to be a tyrant if needed be? Yes, Alarice was taken aback. Nicholas was a powerful emperor. The only reason why the nobles seemed to have that much influence is because he vowed to be a lenient emperor for a peaceful reign. Whenever there was an argument between him and the nobles, he stayed up all night thinking of ways to compromise so bloodshed or ill feelings won't prevail. And now he's telling he's willing to use force. Ridiculous, you can't do that, she said. Oh, I can. He smirked. It's getting tiresome on wearing this Good Samaritan mask. My Empress, he said. He stopped before opening the door. Get a doctor to check up on you, he coldly ordered. I don't need it, Empress. Get a doctor to check up on you, that's an order. His voice roared in the four corners of the room. She flinched. It's been a while since he yelled at her. I understand, Your Majesty, but please also keep in mind that I still have no plan on having a child. After all, how can I be sure you'll be able to protect me from everyone? I don't want to end up like the first concubine, she said. Nicholas' jaw clenched. He then opened the door and got out of the room. Chapter 20. Alarice slumped back at the couch. She puts her arms on her forehead and closes her eyes. She feels like all the rest she had done these past months was gone to waste. She's drained and don't know what to do. She touched the couch she's sitting in. Just a moment, Ao. Go. The couch feels warm, but now it feels cold and empty. It's funny how just a little amount of time will change how her whole surrounding is. What do you want me to do, Nicholas? She murmured in the air. She remembered what happened to the first concubine. A green hair akin to a fresh summer leaves and a silver eyes that looks like a star at night. That's how she viewed the first concubine. Charlotte Tabitha Robindry. She was just 16 years old when she married the young emperor by the order of her father. Marquis Robindry. She didn't like the emperor. In fact, she was in love with her commoner night guard. And Marquis knows that fact. That is why he pushed his daughter to marry the emperor. He can't accept that his oldest daughter was in love with a low-blood commoner. It was a huge blow to their reputation if other nobles knew that fact. That's why when opportunity presented itself, he grabbed it. By marrying off his daughter, he'll be saved from shame of mixing his own flesh and blood to a vile commoner. And he'll gain power from being one of the maternal side of the emperor. However, his daughter tried to run off together with her knight. The moment he caught them, she locked her up the room and cut the guards' legs to prevent them from having idiotic ideas of running away again. He threatens his daughter that he'll cut his other limbs if she didn't marry the emperor, so she had no choice. Charlotte was a sweet girl without greed for power. She's not intelligent or cunning either to withstand the fierce battle inside the harem. Her only source of support is her father. Her only dream is to become a simple housewife with a loving husband and lively children. She's even fine with a small house like the commoners as long as her family will warm it up. That's her only wish. But it's shattered when the Empress consort and second concubine saw her as a competition. When Charlotte accidentally discovers Nicholas' desire for a warm, simple family like her. They've gotten close, but that just of like a little sister and a brother. They both have something that they can never achieve. Additionally, the emperor helped her guard knight to be freed from the marquis and gave enough gold for him to survive. Nicholas promised Charlotte to let her be free after he gained enough power. Nicholas even let Charlotte meet the knight often. He was happy seeing that his little sister was happy. On the nights that they were supposed to spend together, Charlotte will just blab about how she spent her days with her knight. The Empress consort is constantly harassing her. Despite Nicholas' assurance that he just viewed her as a younger sister, it was not enough for her. And Nicholas understands it. That's why he was always apologetic to Charlotte. And Charlotte will always say she's fine. That's one of the reasons why Nicholas agreed to marry Alarice. To have someone higher than the Empress consort supervise the harem in shadows. 7 years later, when the 19-year-old Alarice came, she immediately became close to Charlotte. Charlotte will always brag about her being a dear cute little sister, which he knows that she was not. When he taken Empress regnant, the Marquis became agitated. His power was constantly decreasing the moment he marries off his daughter. It's like someone in the shadows was crippling him. His only hope is for his daughter Charlotte to have a child with the emperor. After all, she was now the only wife of the emperor that doesn't have a child. But his power plummeted quickly when the newly assigned Empress regnant slowly gained power. She was smart, pretty, and cunning if needed. The perfect Empress regnant. That's when the Marquis pressures Charlotte. But because she never really slept with the emperor, she cannot have a child with him. And she can never sleep with someone who she considered as his brother. That's when Alarice proposed the idea of having a child with her knight guard and pinning it as the emperor's child for a while, then letting her leave with her knight the pretense if the first concubine wants a private life for her child. It was a dangerous idea, but the most plausible one. They all agreed with the plan, however. When Charlotte finally became pregnant, that's where the Empress consort and second concubine's harassment became apparent. Alarice cannot help her fully. She doesn't have the power to manage the harem as it was the Empress consort's job as per their contract. She can only be a shadow that watches and so her best to protect her on the side. In addition, she was very busy with her tasks about the improvement of the health and hygiene of the slums. The emperor was also busy keeping the nobles in check while preventing of having a civil war. From all their works, they both failed to see fully how the first concubine suffered while pregnant. On her 8th month of pregnancy, she heard someone invade her small palace. There were thugs that are raiding her. But because her palace is located near the forest where his night guard resides in a small cabin, she was very far away from the main palaces. She only has few trusted guard and maids as she always wanted a low-key lifestyle. But she was wrong in thinking that she can have that in this cruel world. She was about to die. She saw how a bulky man with rusty sword came suddenly into her room. She screamed for help, but no one came to her aid. She tried to escape through the window and run to the forest where his knight resides and shouted for help. The brave knight without legs can only do little. He tried to save his woman and child but failed. The three of them died holding each other. The next morning, Alarice's world almost collapsed when she heard of the incident. She blamed herself for not being able to protect her friend. It was also her idea that led all these things from happening. The prime suspect was the Empress consort, but she never got punished. Nicholas stupidly forgave her when she begged for his mercy and for mail. That was when Alarice first-handed realized the true horror of this world. How can they do all that just for power? They killed an innocent child. But she can never blame the Empress consort, now the second concubine, from harassing and eventually killing the first concubine. In the back of her mind, it was all due to their traumas and F-Kedup's system of bringing other people down just to gain power. It was all due to the Empress consort's father's way of teaching and abusing Qashanna that she too became an abuser. It was all due to the second concubine's father that spoiled his daughter rotten, that she thought everything she wants will be hers. She wanted to change all of this. If only they were given the chance to properly be educated about the right morals, then maybe this will never happen. But what is the right moral anyway? Charlotte was buried in the forest with her knight. Her child was never registered as a royal, which makes the Marquis' reputation plummeted even more. It was their final gift to Charlotte, to let those three live as they are. On her funeral day, Alarice promised herself never to have a child for the purpose of gaining power. That this will be the first and last mistake as an empress. But now she's doing it again. Because she doesn't want to have a child, she's passing the responsibility to the other, like what she did to Charlotte. That's the only solution she can think of. She feels so terrible, but one thing is for certain. She will never have a child from a man who can't protect her properly. She doesn't want to be like Charlotte. She can never have her child suffer. Hi Missy, 05. Thank you for the flood votes, haha. Gulit naman ako dun. But thanks, really appreciate it. Welcome din sa Wattpad. I see that you just joined, aha. Thank you na isa tong story sa nanamang mabasa. And feel free talaga to speak in Filipino if you're not comfy sa English, ah. Nagtatagalog ako promise, haha haha. It's just that I feel awkward writing this story sa Tagalog. Obvious namna sa mga first chapters diva hahaha. Pilit yung pasik in Filipino. I really tried pero sumuko na ako hahaha. But I'm planning on publishing another story after Nido. Almost same genre, but this time lamang na ang Tagalog. Let's delve deeper sa Philippine mythology, hahaha. Thanks talaga all hat, really. I so much appreciate y'all. You can share this story rin sa mga kakalala nayo na nababasa rin ng Wattpad if ever lang naman. Chapter 21. Weeks passed. Alarice and Nicholas never spoke to each other unless it's business. Caleb and Pierre are both suffering from the coldness and awkwardness of the atmosphere inside the office. She will just greet His Majesty as courtesy, and he will just nod as a reply. Then the whole time they'll just work and work and work. At night, a doctor sent by Nicholas would examine her. Though at first she rejected it because her mother already gave her medicine, but the doctor begged for his life. He said that His Majesty will surely kill him if he failed to cure her. Honestly, for her it's not really necessary, but for the sake of the doctor she obliged. That day was her usual day. It was afternoon and she was working at their office. His Majesty was away visiting the Empress consort. Her head made Constance knock on the door. Come in, she said without taking her eyes from the papers. Your Majesty, we have to dress you. Today is the day for the small tea party of the Empress consort. You need to go to congratulate her pregnancy. Constance said worriedly. She sighed. She really didn't mind congratulating her. It's just that she know that the people there will look down on her and mock her behind their fans and smiles. Thinking about that, it will happen. She's exhausted already. I understand, Caleb. Please finish these works and arrange them from the most urgent one. You can use my seal accordingly, she instructed. Yes, Your Majesty. Constance and her both got out of the office. Can't I just go like this, she asked. Constance looked at her attire in disdain. She was wearing a messy ponytail, a faded oversized shirt that she got from Nicholas' long-time age, and a pants. Please mind your dignity. What dignity? I'm sure they'll be talking behind my back anyway. Besides, I don't want to prolong my stay there. She said, I know, but please, Your Majesty. You still need to look dignified and don't mind all the rumors. Constance said. Constance was like a mother to her. When the Empress Dowager Nicholas' mother died 3 years ago, she was the one who stood as his mother. Alarice was close to the late Empress Dowager. Like Constance, she was also like her mother. Constance and the Empress Dowager was first wary of her just like the others. They thought she stole the position of Qashanna, but after being with her, they saw how strong and steadfast she is. And how much is she sacrificing for the sake of the two nations? That despite her very young age, she was dedicating her life for the people. Her honest and strong demeanor is what makes other people attracted to her. Constance always tried to be fair between Nicholas' wives. However, after the incident that happened to the first concubine, and witnessed how Alarice weep her death, she can no longer look to Qashanna's eyes. She always believed that maybe Alarice will make a miracle and bring back that sweet Qashanna that they know. That's why she supported Alarice with all her might. She's their only worth. After dressing Alarice in a simple and elegant purple dress, they tied her hair in a bun and put the necessary jewelry. They need to make Alarice look naturally pretty as possible. This is so she won't look affected nor threatened by the Empress consort's pregnancy. Though their mistress looks like she just don't give a care about her pregnancy. Alarice went to the Rose Palace where the small tea party is. The palace were buzzing with happy energy. The noble ladies were congratulating the Empress consort and bringing her gifts. That's when Alarice remembers that she did not bring any gifts. Oh boy, this'll be a pain. She saw the Emperor beside the Empress consort, happily feeling the bulge in her stomach. She felt the pang of pain. And you make it seem like her pregnancy is a huge problem of you when you're there looking clearly happy about it. Empress Mother Naveen shouted this kid. She forced a smile. She can feel the unpleasant glares of the noble ladies present in the party. How I wish Adeline and Olivia are here. But of course Qashanna won't invite them. They're not close to begin with. Hello, little Naveen, she said as she hugged the child. Greetings, Empress Mother, Mail said as he politely bowed her head. She remembers when she talked to her years ago. She asked if he wanted to become the Emperor. The boy trembled and pale from the word Emperor. What's wrong, Mail? Empress Mother, can I trust you? He desperately asked when she nodded. Mail said, I'm scared of becoming the Emperor. I'm scared of when my mother get to hold the power of the monarch. I don't want to be the Emperor after that day. Mail talked to her normally again. She desperately tried to save Mail, but the young lad didn't open his mouth about that day again. Even the Emperor said to let Qashanna educate their child. He said on the lines of Mail is the firstborn male. He needs to be strong if he doesn't want help. Let him, he'll handle it himself. The stereotypical mindset of a parent in the royal family, that their children needs to be strong in order to survive. While their thought process is right, children needs to be protected, not to be strong to fight for their lives. Your Majesty the Empress. The noble ladies greets her. She went straight to the Empress consort and the Emperor. I greet the son of the Empire. Your Majesty the Emperor, she said as she politely bow and meet his eyes. His eyes were painted with emotions that she cannot name. She smiled. I congratulate you, Empress consort Qashanna, for your pregnancy. This is truly a blessing from heaven. Well, she meant every words, though she still tried to hide the pain in her chest. Your Majesty, I'm sure you prepared me a congratulatory gift. Right, the second concubine. Give me a beautiful glass sculpture of Lily of the Valley flowers. Wishing me pure happiness, Qashanna said happily. She looked at the Lily of the Valley flowers. It's really breathtakingly beautiful. It's true that the flower means happiness and good luck. However, it's a poisonous flower. That's why the flower in other culture is associated by pain, sadness and death. She looked at the concubine. She was looking down. There were times that she hates her. She's also someone who wished for the demise of the first concubine. However, she has no need of those emotions. She need to be clear-headed in order to not make mistakes any further. Besides, her son Naveen was dear to her and he knows nothing. When she tried to confront her for once, Naveen begged her and crying not to hurt his mom. That is why for her children are very complicated. They are the ones who will be hurt the most if something happened to their parents. They know nothing, but they still need to be considered. In the end, she tried to be close to her so she can keep an eye on her. I don't have a physical gift to present you, Empress consort, she said. Everyone started murmuring. She saw the Emperor on the side looking intently at her. But I'll give your child a gift in the form of blessing, she said. A blessing? The Emperor asked. Yes. In our country, Someone must give blessing to the children, wishing them what they want to be in the future. As I am someone adored by the spirits, my blessing will be much stronger, she explained. The Empress consort looked at the Emperor asking for consent. When the Emperor agreed, she came closer to them. She puts her 2 fingers on her lips. White light began to illuminate. Then she pointed her 2 fingers on the Empress consort's belly, which also illuminated, responding in her power. Her powers were no longer as strong when she was in her home country, but she can still perform blessing and still can heal people. With the power of the stars, I blessed you, 3rd child of the Philion Empire. May you be able to lead with wisdom and strength, she said, and the light in her fingers glow even more. When the light vanished, she bowed to them. Then, as I still have a lot of things to do, I shall be in my way. They were all silent. To lead with wisdom and strength. The people in there knows the true meaning behind her words. She was blessing the future emperor of the kingdom. She meant it. If this child were to show the right quality of an heir, then Naveen and Male's burden and suffering might lessen. May this child have enough greed for the throne. The Empress consort looked at her puzzled. She don't want to explain herself. She didn't need to. She bowed to the Emperor, who was staring at her one last time, then leave the palace. Valentine's special. This story took place some months after that rainy day when they baked cookies for the Emperor. It was Valentine's Day, and as usual, Alarice was making chocolate brownies for the servants and chocolate cupcake for the princes and the 2 aides. Last Valentine's Day she only made for the 2 princes, but now she was close to the other servants and aide, so she decided to give them one. She also baked some for the Empress consort and 2nd concubine. That afternoon, the people of the palace were all talking about how delicious her baked sweets are. Even the Empress consort and 2nd concubine were impressed. The Emperor was away for the whole day and just got back in the afternoon. He was weirded how everyone was eating chocolates. In the Philion Empire, there was no such thing as Valentine's Day. When he went to the office, he saw his aide, Pierre, eating a chocolate cupcake. What is that? He asked. A cupcake, I know. But why is everyone having chocolates? Oh. It was baked by the Empress Reganant, saying that it is their tradition to give chocolate to their loved ones this day. Everyone got their chocolates. I'm sure you also had a special one for yourself. Right, Your Majesty, after all you are her husband, he said. Nicholas cracked. Of course he didn't get one. He was working the whole day after all. Pierre looked at him intently. Then he realized something. He immediately consumed the cupcake and burst out laughing. Oh, you didn't get one, he teased and laughed loudly. Keep laughing if you want your mouth ripped from your face, Nicholas said, immediately looking very angry. Pierre shut his mouth. Then please excuse me, he said, then run away. It's okay. The day hasn't ended yet. Maybe she'll give it to him later, as it is time for us to spend the night together, he told himself. But night passed and the Empress Regnant did not show any signs of giving him chocolates. The Empress Regnant, on the other hand, was nervous and uncomfortable as the Emperor was looking at her intently the whole afternoon, and she doesn't know why. That night the Emperor was sulky. He was sitting on the side of the bed looking gloomy. He didn't get one. The Empress knocked on the door. She was holding a tray with a mug. Your Majesty, you must be tired. Here, I brought you hot cocoa, she said. Cocoa? Yes. It's an ingredient to made chocolate. I know you don't like sweets, so I didn't put much sugar and milk in there, she said. The Emperor's face brightened at the word chocolate and grabbed the glass immediately. He chugged down the whole mug in one go. It's not so bad, he said. Alarice smiled. He must really like it. Maybe I'll make him this again once in a while. As for Pierre, his pay was cut to half for teasing the Emperor.